Well, I just got done at the gym, and as usual, there's got to be 1,000 stupid motherfuckers. I showed up, there was some asshole here, but he started to leave as I was about to go in. But then I was sitting here doing a couple things, which I'll get to in a second. And, more like right when I was about to fucking start to walk in, like close my door and walk in, some other dumbass shows up. But then that guy leaves basically right when I do. So, sweet, right? Nope. 2 other stupid motherfuckers showed up a minute ago. Alright, well, so here's the thing. So, I was sitting here doing a few things with this piece of shit. And then, you know, I'm going to be sitting here doing this video. And motherfuckers better not start shit with me. Because, again, I'll get to that in a sec. But, so I turned my car on and it said check oil level. Now, you know, last time a thing popped up, it said, I think it just said like check oil or something. Alright, well, the last time I checked it cold, it looked like the dipstick was like below the first notch. So it's like, what, like, you know, half a quart? And this video is actually going to be a reminder to me that I put 2 quarts in, right? So according to the dipstick, the thing was like basically bone dry. But just in case I read the dipstick wrong or whatever, I put 2 quarts in it. And, you know, just kind of, you know, monitor that, you know, and then I'll add some more, you know, at some other point, right? But I've had the, you know, low tire pressure thing coming on for a while. Now, originally, it had said check tire monitor or whatever. So when it popped up, check tire pressure, I thought maybe it was just malfunctioning. But it kept coming on for a while, and I mean, you know, of course, which now I have one, but at that exact moment, I couldn't, you know, it's like, you know, it's like pins, and I mean, this is actually why I have a, right here, box of fucking 10 pins sitting there for this reason. You know, it's like you have 1,000 tire pressure gauges till you need it, and all of a sudden they don't exist, right? Now I understand what my first and last ex, what their bullshit was about. It's like they're total junkies, smoking crack, smoking weed, all this shit, and it's like they never have a lighter, right? And I remember my last ex, because I had a box of them. You know, it's like a 5-pack of like Bic lighters or whatever, and like a Ziploc bag, and like just part of my shit, you know, just because I'm one of those be prepared weirdos, you know. I remember him saying that, oh, could I have one of those? It's like, nah, dude, these are like emergency. Yeah, you know, the reason I got that pack of pins, not pins, lighters, they were Bic brand, just like these pens are, but, you know, lighters, was because late 2017 or early 2018, when I was working at FedEx, one day I couldn't get to work because it was like freezing rain bullshit, and it, like, I couldn't unlock my truck door. They were totally frozen solid. So of course they you know, motherfuckers that they like show up every day late and this and that, but I show up, like, don't show up one single time. Oh, I got the fucking manager of the building wanting to talk to me, and they've always got their dumbass easy solution. Oh, use a lighter, use a this, use a that. Yeah, I'll use this shit I don't have, you fucking retard. Remember, I was homeless. I was living on the street at, you know, not long before that. I had just had enough money to be able to stay in a hotel. And after a little bit of that, you know, one day I come out to go to work. Well, one night I come out to go to work, can't get in the fucking car. Well, what am I supposed to do? Go to the store? How? Get into the car I can't get into to go there, right? You can't predict everything, dude. All right. Keep in mind, freezing rain like that is an extreme rarity. I haven't seen it since, no matter where I've been. All right. But everybody's got their dumbass easy solutions. It reminds me of this thing I saw online It's like a YouTube video for this thing you could use to desalinate ocean water. It works on the principle of osmosis. So what you end up with is, it's water that you could drink because it's not too salty, but it's also sweet tasting because it basically, again, osmotically replaces the salt with sugar, right? And I remember seeing a comment on that video, oh, that's a nice idea, right? You imagine having that in a dry box and, oh no, I'm like, trapped at sea now, and it's like, oh, good thing I had this with me on the fucking, Titanic or fucking whatever, right? But I seen a dude in the comments, some YouTube comments say that it put it so perfectly. He's like, oh, do y'all like do FedEx Air, to the middle of the ocean or whatever, like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this would be, it's like when you're not going to have it when you need it, right? Who the fuck is saying, oh yeah, let me have this reverse osmosis filter, in case I'm stuck in the middle of the ocean? It's like, how likely is that to happen, right? But it's that kind of bullshit. You can't prepare for everything. You can't predict everything. Sorry, but you can't. I've been through shit that basically none of you stupid fucking humans will. Any one single experience I've had in life, the likelihood of one you dumbass humans experiencing that and only that is almost zero. Now then, I've had all those motherfucking experiences on top of it. And so now it's just a motherfucking cavalcade of vehicles, right? So this kind of goes into what I was talking about. The way I look, the way I dress, I got all a bunch of shit in here, and then worst of all, 3 different motherfuckers are going by me into the gym as I'm sitting here moving shit, from the, kind of front and middle seats to the fucking back, right, and all this bullshit. And so, motherfucker, oh my god, this homeless guy is sitting in the gym parking lot. And it's like, dude, if I was actually homeless, you'd never fucking know it. You know what I mean? But I know stupid motherfuckers, like, that's what they're, is, oh my god, this homeless guy, and they want to, like, try to get me fucking harassed by the police or some bullshit, right? But it's just, every other time I've been to the gym, there might be a dude here right when I leave, like right when I get here, but like they leave when I'm coming in, or, maybe they're showing up as I'm leaving. But it's going to be, sort of the reverse of how, like tonight, it's like there's only going to be motherfuckers at the gym when I'm doing my lightest lifts, right? There's 67.5 pound clean to press and, 100-pound deadlift row supersets, right? And then my tricep extensions where I got only 1 pound, micro load on the fucking easy bar. That's when motherfuckers will be at the gym, right? The days when I'm, doing, my heaviest lifts, nobody will be there. It's sort of like this. Okay, so when I'm want to sit here and see, there's like 3 or 4 people showing up now. There was already 2 or 3 in there. I've never seen. Is it like a holiday or something? Like, I've never seen this many, individuals at the gym all at once like this. That's kind of nuts. I've never seen this at any time fitness. This time of night? I don't know. Or is it like daylight savings changed and I didn't notice or something? I don't know. But anyway, so when I'm sitting here checking my tire pressure, putting in, oil in my engine and moving stuff around on top of looking how I look, that's when there's going to be, dude, at this point there's like 6 people in there, right? That's when they're going to be seeing me doing all that, right? I didn't pump my tires up because I really kind of don't need to right this second. But anyway, so when I finally got another pressure gauge and decided to check my tires, dude, they were just ridiculous. It's like, in the front, it was like 39 and 41. The back left was 36, and then the one on the right was like almost 20. So what I ended up doing is I pumped the back right one up to 35. About a month later, it said it was low again. It popped on the dash. I checked it, and it was like 25. Okay, so I'm losing 10 psi a month. All right, so this thing's got like a slow leak in it. Well, this compressor I got, this electric thing. This isn't the original, but I had the same deal with that 2004 Buick LeSabre I had, that silver 04 Buick LeSabre. back in 2018. I was had a room for rent a couple miles away from my ex-goth Jacob. That dude had garage space, so I was parked in there as well. But yeah, it was like all the time I'd take that thing out there. I would always keep it charged up, and occasionally I'd be taking it out there to pump the tire up. It might have been the same tire. I think it might have been that back right tire. Maybe it was on the right. Maybe it was the right front one. I think it was basically the same tire. But it's like, slow leak, whatever, just keep putting fucking air in it. Well, recently, when it started saying that again, I tried to pump it up, but the last time I used it, it said the battery was 100%. But then I only get it up 2 PSI, and then it says it's out. It's one thing I hate on these things that I get. The battery indicator is just unreliable like that. But it's like a Schumacher SJ, what does it say? SJ 1289, I think. This is the second one I bought in 2020, I think. That first one I got in 2017. But that's what I was talking about in that same Buick LeSabre when I got broke down in Stockton, finally, right? Well, earlier that year, I got into some trouble near Redding, California, because basically my, serpentine belt flew the fuck off to who knows where. Now, originally I thought maybe it like frayed and snapped or something, but what I realize now is probably the other thing. I was putting like a gallon of coolant in it a week, and then eventually it's like every few days or something. And it wasn't like this thing where I was losing coolant like crazy. The engine was getting hot, but you could see a gigantic river of coolant under it, right? If I like drove it, like filled it up, drove it somewhere, parked, right? And once it got bad enough where I finally got it fixed, I mean, you could see the coolant just, you like bone dry, you pour the coolant and you could just see it just start pouring out the backside of the water pump closest to the engine, right? And then I got that fixed, and now it's perfect. Actually, one of the things I put in one of these totes in the back here is the head gasket leak tester. I'd gotten to check the head gasket on this thing when I was trying to diagnose what was going on. But so like I just stuck that back there in the extra bottle of fluid I had with it. But that Buick LeSabre, it was just losing coolant like crazy, and you couldn't see it, right? It was like my Cutlass Sierra. It blew the head gasket. Well, spoiler alert, saw the Buick LeSabre because I just didn't know about that, And dude, when I got pictures of it somewhere. When I finally checked it, when it was like fully done, dude, the engine oil was like chocolate pudding, right? No wonder. And when the place I got it towed to, they said, dude, they said like basically the engine, like presumably, I guess they meant the engine block was cracked in half. That's what they surmised. And they're like, I mean, if you wanted to pay us to do a deeper look into it, we could, but chances are you just need to get a new engine. It's like, well, how much is that? And what they fucking said, it was like, well, $5,300. Yeah, $5,300 engine for a $1,500 car. It's like, forget about it, right? It then starts the homelessness in Stockton for a little bit till I had enough money to get on a bus back to St. Louis. And this is when I was there homeless the second time without a vehicle because of that, right? Well, anyway, 2017-ish or something, I'd bought one of these Schumacher things, and that's why I bought a second. Because earlier that a little bit, it was like a month or so, or it might have been like a week or so. Because I had been in the Seattle area. It's a place that's about equidistant between downtown Seattle and a city called Everett. And this place, it was called Mount Lake Terrace or Lake Mount Terrace or something. I decided to go down. It was I-5. I don't remember exactly where, but at some point it goes off and you just, straight to Las Vegas. And I was there for like literally a night, long enough to go to the gym and then come back. Now there was a couple dudes there, but I mean, it's Las Vegas. There's tons of motherfuckers there, right? So that made sense. But I decided, all right, there's nothing here for me. I don't even know why I came here. And so I just decided to fuck off, and I was going to go back to, Washington State, Seattle area, kind of greater Seattle area, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And on my way back up I-5, right around Redding, California, the thing started to say it was hot. All of a sudden it was basically stuck in first gear, and it had the battery icon and everything, right? So I pulled over and put coolant in it because I thought that's what it was, because that's what it had been. It would get hot, I'd put coolant in it, it'd be fine for a while. Even a cop showed up. He's like, oh, you need gas or anything? If you want, we could bring you a gallon of gas to have enough to get to the next gas station, or something like that. I was like, nah, thing's getting hot, I put coolant in it, and every now and then it's fine, I'll be gone in a minute. He's like, all right, and he left. Well, I got a little bit further down the road, and this was just like a rest area. It started doing it, it still said it, and I was like, well, what the fuck? So I pulled into the rest area, and I popped the hood, and there was no serpentine belt, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was looking around the engine bay, I didn't see it. And so, well, a few miles back the other way was a car parts place, but I had to go up the highway a bit and then turn around and come back, and it technically an illegal U-turn, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, I need a belt for this, right? The place I got the belt, they gave me a schematic, and I even got a little flashlight, all the tools to change the serpentine belt I had. I had ratchets and wrenches and all that shit. Sometimes preparedness pays off. But I needed a flashlight, and I remember I went back in as I was trying. I was like, y'all don't mind if I change this just sitting here, right? This is fine. It's all right. But I was trying to change it, but it was getting dark, and so I went back. He's like, y'all got any flashlights? And this little mini flashlight they had. He's like, well, this is all we got left, but it's pink. I was like, I don't care what color it is. And dude, I still have that thing. It doesn't work anymore. Maybe I could get it working if I fiddle with it enough, but even new batteries, it doesn't seem to, it just might be dead. I don't know. But it's just this little kind of aluminum flashlight with, it was just pink color, which, hey, I don't care. I like it. I like pink. If you don't like that, then you can tongue fuck my fucking dickhole about it. But so I sat there, I changed it, and I felt victory, right? Oh wow, it's almost like you get confidence from success, right? Well, I thought I had success, and I tried going down the road a little ways, and it just kept slipping off, and I had to pull over, put it back on, and it just keeps slipping and slipping. I was like, well, what the fuck? So I went back to a Burger King that was near that car parts place, and I was looking and looking on YouTube, and finally I determined that the tensioner pulley must be warped or whatever. Well, I try to go back over there to get the tensioner pulley. These motherfuckers come out at, they saw me pull back up. They saw me 10 minutes ago, right? They see me pull back up. I'm probably pulling back up because I needed something else, right? They're just like, no, they're just going to walk out and just walk past me like I ain't standing there. You know what I mean? Oh, we're closed. Our lives are fine. Fuck you, right? So I have to try to creep this thing all the way to, Redding. I was outside of Redding, to Redding proper, running just off the battery, right? So at a point, the dash starts to dim, the radio went out, right? And the lights start, just about out of battery, right? Well, I had this little Schumacher all-in-one whatever thing, right? Compressor, jumper, all that. Well, I pull off into a gas station parking lot, and I turn it off, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I going to do? And I'm sitting there, I'm calling tow places to try to tow me somewhere. It was hundreds of dollars. Fuck that. I'm trying to, what am I going to do? So I decided to try to use that thing to jump it, just to try to creep a little further into town, right? And it doesn't work. And I'm sitting there going back and forth between the inside of the car and out there trying to fuck with it. And at some point, I end up locking myself out of my fucking car. I'm like, fuck. Now what am I going to do? So this is the critical part. So as I'm sitting there trying to figure out how the fuck to get back into the thing, I left the thing on the jump mode clamped onto the battery. Well, actually, battery terminals. Dude, the 2004 Buick LeSabre, it's a full-size sedan. Most are mid-size, all right? And if you had a compact, you'd know it. Those are just ridiculously tiny. But these are just, this ain't even a mid-size. This is a full-size sedan, and the battery isn't under the hood. They got posts under the hood, but the actual battery is under the fucking back seat. It's like, dude, that's fucking retarded. It's a full-size sedan. You couldn't find somewhere to put it? Whatever. But anyway, it's like it was clamped to the posts up front, under the hood, right? But I left it there. And like I said, middle of the night, I already had a guy come by trying to like help or whatever. It was like a homeless dude or whatever. That part's, it's just, at that point I was sitting in my car, like actually sitting in it. This is before I locked myself out. And I just told him, I'm fine. Just, you know, I didn't tell him to get lost, but that was the tone, right? It's like, oh, no, I'm all right. He walks away a little bit. He like actually turns around and comes back to my window. He's like, I'm not trying to like, whatever, like, I don't know. It was like, I'm not trying to not scams. I don't even remember exactly what he said. He's like, you know, it's like basically trying to, dude, I'm not trying to like, you know, I'm not a criminal trying to, dude, I don't care. First of all, I don't know that, right? I had my 1911 in the pocket of my pocket vest, the same one I'm wearing right now, actually. So, I mean, if you tried me, like, he wasn't going to get very far with that. Now, this is in 2019. But, he basically, finally fucks off. And then I get back out of my car and start messing with it. That's when I end up locking myself out, right? But I left it hooked up, that jumper thing. And so that I got lucky, okay? Because, like I said, it was an 04, so it was already 15 years old at the time, right? The gaskets around the door, like the window, like they weren't there anymore. And then to top it off, it had those old school rocker switches for the door locks on the inside. Those things were super loose. You could bump it by accident and unlock it or lock it, right? That's the critical part. Both of those are critical. So I figured out there was a dumpster like right next to it. It was like, how California is, they got like those perimeter walls like around the apartment complexes and shit. That whole place is built like a prison, bars on everything and bullshit, right? Well, on the exterior of that wall that was like around that apartment building that the gas station was right next to, there was this big dumpster full of these just gigantic twigs, right? So what I did was I got one of those, and I could actually reach my fingers over the top of the window, and I pulled the window away from the door with one hand, my left hand, and the other hand I put that twig in, and I was able to bump that the rocker, the door lock rocker back to unlocked, and then I was able to get in. I was like, yes, right, like then I felt real victory. But so, before I decided to try that, like I was like, all right, fuck. So I already called tow places. I was trying to call a locksmith and asked them, like, oh, I just locked my keys out of my car. I'm kind of like stuck. My battery's almost down. There's how much to get? He's like $450. I was like, yeah, fuck that. And actually, as soon as I like hung up the phone, I took the ratchet that I was using when I done the tensioner pulley to put the serpentine belt. I took my shirt off, wrapped it around my hand, and tried to hit the fucking driver's side door window with it, and it didn't do nothing. It just kind of like bounced off. Which of course this pocket knife I got in late 2019, which I found at an Anytime Fitness. It's got that little bump on the bottom of it where you hold it. It's got that little like point that's actually specifically for busting out like the side windows, right? Like not the windshield but the windows, right, on the doors, right? But I didn't have that yet. So when that didn't work, you know, bounced right off the window. I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? But that's when I figured that out. Now, that whole time I was fucking with that, I'd left that jumper, you know, this Schumacher thing, connected. Once I got the door unlocked and got back in, then I was sitting there trying again to figure out what I was going to do. And so, actually, I think I left it connected, but it wasn't set to jump. It was just connected. And I said, whatever, let me just try it to jump it again. Just see what happens. So I go back out and I set it to jump and try to turn it. Vroom, and it like starts running again. It's like, yes, right? Now it's still running off battery with no serpentine belt. But I was able to get it a little bit further to this Denny's that I tried going to in 2023. It's not even there anymore. It's actually like a block down from the original building. So that sucked. It's like I wanted to show that place, but I can't now. I mean, I could show the abandoned building, but the Denny's now is like a block down from where I was originally. So I remember showing up to the Google Maps, you have arrived. And I'm like, this is not it, you know. But yeah, it's like moved a block down or whatever. But I sat there overnight, talked to the dude. It's like, yeah, blah, blah. He's like, you mind if I sit here until the car place opens? I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then it still had enough juice to get to the next place to get a new belt and then the tensioner pulley. I put those on. Once I put the new tensioner pulley on, success again. It's working again. It wasn't slipping off anymore. I felt, all right, cool. Now I really felt confident. And then halfway into Stockton, right, it just totally goes. I was like, what the fuck, right? And you know, that's when I discover, you know, the engine oil that looks like chocolate pudding, etc. Right, and then, you know, cue the you know, chicanery for the rest of that year, and I guess up until now as well. It's kind of everything. So it's come to this, right? It's like you could say that in any circumstance and be correct, right? It's like it's always true, but it just sounds dramatic. I know, it was like XKCD, I think, or some comic about that, whatever. But either way, the success I had getting it to go again, I think it was because it had to be. So I hooked it up to the battery posts and left it there, and so it was essentially trickle charging the battery, and it got it up just high enough to where it could finally jump again, right, with the jump start mode itself. And you're not supposed to do that with a jump starter, but it worked. Okay, well, so that thing like almost literally saved my life, right, at that exact moment. So I liked it so much I got a second one in 2020. This is the second one that's sitting here now. And now unfortunately the original just broke recently, which, well, probably the battery went out. They got a little AGM battery in them, and those last about 7 years. Been about 7 years since I bought that thing. It just kind of sucked. It had to, you know, the original had to go. Just do the, you know, the sentimental value, but I liked it so much I bought a second. I was going to buy a third, which now if I bought a third, it would technically still be a second one, you know, fucking figures. But now they're just ridiculously pricey, right? Like this second one I bought in 2020 is like $100-something, and the original I bought Justin is like $80 or something. But now, dude, they want like $250 for it. It's like, what? Dude, they're not even, it's the USB ports, they're not even USB 2. They're USB 1. It'll take for fucking ever to charge your shit off that. I know. It took forever in 2017. That was another thing. I had that when I was homeless in 2017 before I started working at FedEx. That was the thing. And this motherfucking, I just picked up that I'm about to get to in a second. This exact inverter. It says right here, Die Hard 425 watt power inverter. What's the model number? There's a bunch of numbers. But anyway, yeah. Gold Die Hard 425 watt power inverter. It's modified sign, but I bought this at a Sears Auto in 2017, and I might get to that in a sec. But so the one when I was there, the one I had tried buying originally, it just had the battery posts, you know, the clamp things, but I went the one with the cigarette lighter, and This is actually different than I remember. So like I was like sitting there waiting for my car to get worked on, which the same Buick, Buick LeSabre. So I might get to that in a second if I remember. But the one I bought didn't have the cigarette lighter, which is what I wanted. So like as soon as I bought it, that very same, clerk right there at the register in front of the auto part, as soon as I didn't realize this wasn't the one with the cigarette lighter. Could I get that instead? Just return this and like literally buy the other right now. And dude, they looked at me like I was an asshole for that. It's like, what do you care, right? But whatever. What I thought this was originally was that this cigarette lighter adapter was hardwired in, and then it came with posts to like put the little clamps onto to connect to the battery directly. But actually, what it is, again, like I said, I've had this for fucking almost a decade, and I guess I never really paid a whole lot of attention because I only ever used the cigarette lighter. I might start using the clamp soon. I'm going to get to that, but what the fuck is the window round, dude? Right. So anyway, it's actually the cigarette lighter is on these posts here, and so if you want to use the clamps, you'd have to change them out. So whatever, actually just put the clamps out here because I still have that. It's got like 2 fuses on here. I still have the little accessory bag from when I bought this thing that had the little clamps, and then also the extra fuses. 425 watt. This thing is so good that they don't even false advertise the peak watts. They just put the like average regular ass watts on there. But so that's what I would do with this little Schumacher. Actually, well, I can't do it this exact second because the extension cable I just put in the back there. But anyway, I'd plug this thing into the cigarette lighter, and then an extension cable from the inverter to this Schumacher thing. It's got those little prongs that fold out in the back. You plug the female end of an extension cord into, and so anytime I was driving, it was keeping that thing charged up. And then if I weren't driving, it's a, can't remember how many watts it is, but it's just a little AGM battery in there. And so if I wasn't running the car, I just had my phone plugged into the USB port to keep it charged, right? So I basically use it as like a gigantic, like phone, battery brick thing, right? A lot, not always, but the tire compressor I used a lot, jump starter occasionally, but yeah, still got this exact same motherfucking inverter. So anyway, what I had done recently was I bought a battery from one of my other cars because I was thinking I would have to move it. I ended up not having to do that, but I bought a new battery. I was just going to need a new one anyway, but for now I decided, since I don't have to move it right now, that I'm just going to use the battery I bought as just, have it in here just as a, secondary power source. And that's what I'm thinking about doing, is like have this thing hooked into the cigarette lighter. And then in this case, actually, I've got a 2 amp battery charger that I could plug into it. And then also I got it, it's like a 25-foot extension cable, just so I could run it, to the back where the battery is and just clamp that on there. And kind of same idea, I could be keeping that topped off, when this thing is running. And then the idea is, like, sometimes a few times, I mean, I've really kept on top of it, but sometimes it won't, like, it'll go woo, right, and it's like won't go, and then the second time it will, or sometimes it'll be slow and it's just like woo, 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 right, and then it'll start. And I figured out that I think it's this stupid dial for the dash lights. You really got to pay attention to it, or it doesn't go off all the way necessarily. Like, a lot of times I can like roll it up and down, and like the lights will come on but then back off, or if you roll it down they'll go off but then come back on. So I think it was something like that. And my idea with that was have that battery there, so if that happened, instead of having to get out, like a kind of like, just regular battery charger or whatever, I could just essentially like reverse that and, you know, hook the inverter to that battery that's in there in the back there, and then, you know, run the 2 amp charger out to the battery under the hood and just let it, you know, charge it up a bit, just enough to where I can start it again. It just make it less of a hassle. Because when this thing, if it's gotten low like it has, that thing actually won't jump it. It gets a little bit too low. And that's how I pretty much figured out that's what was happening, is that it's just these dash lights don't go off. Sometimes you really have to make sure they went off before you turn the thing off. Also another thing I hate, this idea I have, part of that I don't like, is this cigarette lighter and this thing does not shut off when you turn the thing off. And I've done that before, that little window defroster, when it's been cold, I've like left it plugged in and then the damn thing won't start because the battery's too low. There's now the damn fucking window where the door is rattling, pissed me off. I always love how there's these like bullshit like sounds or whatever. There's always going to be something to distract me when I'm trying to talk, right? But I don't know. Anyway, you know, some people say, well, why do you want 2 batteries? Just keep the one you got charged. It's like, that's the point, dipshit. Plus, dude, a lot of newer cars won't be like this. This thing, it's like an 06 or whatever. I don't think I've ever had a car earlier, like more recent than this. Everything has actually been older than this. I think the second oldest I got is an 05. But older cars like this, yeah, I mean, yeah, if it was a little bit low, you know, it might do this like woo, 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 right? It just will, you know, just kind of, you know, lay on it till it just kind of like starts working or whatever. That's why I like old cars. It kind of, you know, like just hit them till they start working again type of shit, you know. Dude, a newer car, that might not work. And then also a newer car might not do what I was talking about, like it's like, first of all, you might be stuck in a position, it's like, where are you going to hook up a battery charger, right? Maybe your jump starter for whatever reason is low, is too low to actually work, and the battery might be too low for jumping to work. Like if the battery voltage is too low, jump starting won't do shit because it doesn't have enough already in it, right? There's a million scenarios why having a secondary battery like that would be. It's like, dude, people do off-grid shit like that all the time. Like, this isn't it's one of these things, like, motherfuckers, it's like, this is not a question you need to ask, right? They're just, see, like, what is this fucking sound, dude? It's like the window. It's like the window rattling or the door. I don't know. It's acting like a fucking 20-year-old vehicle. That's what it's doing. But also, like, say for an example, if that thing was too low, now this battery I bought for my other car it's not the right group size. I mean, if you hooked it up right and just found a way to keep it in place, it wouldn't matter. But, you know, either way, you know, a hot swap like I'm about to talk about wouldn't necessarily work unless you were ready for that as well. But, you know, you imagine you break down, inclement weather, whatever you need to get out of like the situation. Maybe you don't have the opportunity to plug a charger in, jumpstart this. So you real quick hot swap a battery if you know what you're doing, especially. But this is the point, right? It's like swapping a fully charged battery out just for that exact moment, and you just start going now instead of having to wait 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, for it to charge up. It should be obvious why that's an advantage. But the thing is, again, on a newer car, it might still not start for various reasons. Just because of the way it all works. On modern bullshit cars. Well, with this, it'd be no problem. It might idle weird at first and all that while I like relearn shit, but on a car this old, it really doesn't matter, right? So that's part of that. Yeah, they're 20 plus years old. They're you're a fucking hoopty, right? Like Dave Ramsey will just drive $1,000 hoopty delivering pizzas and eat beans and rice, and then for variety, rice and beans. Like, holy, that dude is so fucking privileged. He really doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I was making videos on that dude in late 2019. After all this bullshit I went through, and I was living with that fat bitch. It was basically just going to the gym, and then basically just sitting there, right? Making videos like that, or just laying in bed suicidally depressed or whatever, right? Desperate for a boyfriend. Now I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. But either way, just to set the mood, right? And I made videos talking shit. Dave Ramsey put out a video saying some dumb shit, and I'd have to correct him. We always just drive hoopty. It's like, shut the fuck up, right? Yeah, dude, like that Buick LeSabre, yeah. $1,500 car, and dude, like a week after I bought it, ended up needing like $2,300 fucking dollars put into it, because it had to get the inner and outer tie rods, the fucking, I don't, like I said, I'm not a super car expert, but I forget the exact terminology on it. It was like new, it's like ball joints or CV axle. I don't know, but like fucking everything, basically, right? It's like, why didn't you motherfuckers just fix it up so it actually wouldn't potentially kill you to drive it, and just sell it to me, for, it's like $2,300, right? It's, yeah, just, why didn't you just sell me the piece of shit for $3,300 then, right? Whatever. But yeah, buying 1,000, and that thing was $1,500, right? Right? It's like, dude, it's not fucking, year zero, right? Where $1,000 could like fucking buy something. You know what I mean? Whatever. But that was anyway. I'm looking at it right now. I guess I'll go ahead. Part of what I got recently, actually, I got this little, this little carbon monoxide detector. You charge it off USB. I just got it hanging on the rear view mirror. 0 parts per million, so that's nice. That last car I'd bought, I was in Oklahoma, and this was 2023, and I probably got video of it somewhere. I've got tons of video. I recorded essentially all my driving for that, to a ton of SD cards. I just don't feel like digging it all out. But I'm pretty sure I recorded that, and you could have heard it. Because what I would do is, it's like, all right, I went in to get gas, and I come back out, turn the recording on, and then start the car, right? And that piece of shit, so it was like right on the border of Oklahoma, pretty sure. And it was this like novelty gas station. It was built in the shape of a giant teepee, right? And they got like, they had like a bunch of like Indian, like novelties and shit like that in there. But I went in there to use the bathroom, came back out, filled up my gas, and then when I turned it on, all of a sudden it was like, right? And I was like, what the fuck is that? I didn't think too much of it. I kept driving. All right. Well, keep in mind, I spent $4,000 for this piece of shit. Well, by the time I got to like right outside Denver, Colorado, dude, it was like fucking May or something. And I remember as I was driving in, it was the sun was coming up, and I was driving in. It's like everything was white out off the road, and like, at first I was thinking it was like sand or something. I was like, I don't remember it looking like this, but it's like, then I realized that's snow, right? Then I get a little bit in, and then it starts to say shit about the traction control. I was like, fuck. Right as I'm about to hit these icy, snowy roads, it says that. But there's the traffic all backed up it was like 40 miles away from downtown. So it was creeping, and then, still, right? Dude, I remember thinking, like, I felt like I was having a panic attack. And I was like, I don't know why I feel this way. It's like I'm not nervous or like anything like that. Dude, it was like hard to breathe and my eyes were watering, like they were burning and watering like crazy. I figured out that if I set the AC to recirculate and rolled my window down, it would be okay. But dude, it was so bad at that point. I was hanging my whole fucking head out the window. Like I felt like I was suffocating, right? Well, spoiler alert, I was, right? So I was suffocating on engine exhaust, part of which being carbon monoxide. So I was basically getting carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, I got into town. There was a Denny's out there I went to in 2019, right? Before, I'd gone to Vegas and then come back and broke down, for the last, the engine, the head gasket blew. Well, the fucking block blew, according to them, in Stockton. Before all that, a little bit earlier than that, I was in Denver, and this was actually before I got far enough to actually get to Washington State for the first time. The big parking lot where the Anytime Fitness was out there, there was like a Denny's in that same kind of big shopping area. Well, when I got there, 2023, of course, it was closed down. It's like figures. But I got there during the day this time. That time I went in 2019, it was dark out when I got there. Now, originally I went to it Anytime, kind of more like downtown proper, but it was, I don't know, I didn't feel comfortable with that. I went there once, or trying to go, I don't remember if I did the whole workout, but it's like, it said in front of it, like 2-hour parking, like right in front of the building. And I was like, all right, I don't feel like getting towed, risking getting fucking towed for this or whatever. That's when I went to that second one there where the Denny's was at. Well, anyway, I got to that same area and I started calling places. I took it in somewhere. And what they told me was the exhaust manifold had totally separated, right? So where it attaches, that whole part had rusted off, and it detached. So when I turned it on in Oklahoma and it started going, it was just the whole fucking exhaust manifold rattling, right? It probably what it was rusted so bad around that exact time I turned the engine over, just the rattling of the engine as it started was enough to just finally break it off, right? And it had smelled funny for a while, so it probably already had little holes developing where it finally fully flaked off. But yeah, that's what they told me. You were just straight up breathing exhaust straight off the engine. Not even after it's been through the catalytic converter, right? So this ain't, you turn the car on in the garage with the garage door down, right? No, this is like you're breathing it straight off the fucking engine. So yeah, basically almost died, right? From a $4,000 car. You know what it cost me to get the exhaust manifold replaced? Another $4,000. So it's like, well, why didn't you just replace the exhaust manifold and sell it to me for $8,000, right? Fucking ridiculous. And where I bought it didn't even have emission laws like that. That's what they told me. Well, where you're from, you could get a cheaper one, but unfortunately here, due to the emission laws, you have to get the, one that's like to the standards of Colorado. So could have spent, was like $1,500, $2,000, but it's $4,000 instead, right? Yeah, but just buy $1,000 fucking hoopty, right? Well, anyway, so this is why I got this little carbon monoxide detector. Because sometimes this thing will, when I'm driving, it'll smell a little bit funky. Dude, if that ever happened to you, the exhaust manifold goes like that and you're breathing that, you will never mistake anything else the rest of your fucking life. Nothing smells like that except that. It is so fucking disgusting smelling. And it could literally kill you. You could pass out while driving and crash and fucking who knows what. But so that's why I got this. And it's just hanging right here off the rear view mirror. It's actually, the little lanyard thing is, okay, maybe I can get it now. It's just barely not, big enough to get all the way around. Maybe if I futz with it a little, it can finally, yeah, just almost get it all the way around, but not quite, but whatever. But yeah, it's hanging right here. And so if there wasn't a manifold leak or whatever, and there was monoxide, carbon monoxide getting in the cabin, well, I mean, if it was the exhaust manifold, it's right here in front of where it would be coming in, right? But I mean, I've been, sitting here looking at it, since I was driving to the gym. Still says 0 ppm parts per million. So yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I've watched a lot of survivalist bullshit like that, prepper shit, and they'll say shit like, "Oh, have moving blankets." So if it's cold, you got moving blankets, you can use those. And yeah, moving blankets are like warmer than regular covers, but that's because they're made out of shit that catches the fuck on fire. They're like, it's like some type of like plastic kind of material, or polyester, or I don't know, something like that. They say not to use them for bedding. Yeah, that's why they're not flame resistant. Generally, actual stuff to like cover yourself with when you're sleeping has flame retardants put in it. That's why they say not to. But again, in a pinch, and plus they absolutely are warmer than most covers since they're like a synthetic material. But it's like, oh, have a moving blanket. It's like, dude, I got 3. Like, I'm looking at one right there. There's a couple more in the back, right? It's actually, it might be 4 because I got one laid down in the back where I took the 3rd row out. But I don't ever see anybody say that. Get a little, like this carbon monoxide detector. It's USB rechargeable. It's got a little LCD screen and all that, and it does temperature and humidity. You just recharge a USB, and like I could have a little thing plugged in the cigarette lighter here connected to it to keep it constantly charged or whatever. $25. So yeah, have one of those around your rear view mirror so that if you get a exhaust leak, you don't fucking die, right? You'll know about it before you could even actually have symptoms, right? Because I think it doesn't even do the first alarm till it's like 400 ppm or something. But yeah, it'll know about it way before you actually get symptoms of it. I don't think I've ever seen anybody. Well, actually, yeah, I know I haven't, but I don't think anybody else has even mentioned it. I know I haven't heard anybody else do it, but I might be the only person that's ever just said that. I've never heard anybody mention that. And it's like, it's that yeah, a little $25 thing, and then if there's some kind of exhaust leak, manifold, whatever, you'll know about it before it's even making you feel sick or whatever. It started with giving me symptoms in St. Louis because I went back there for a little bit. I went back to where the hotel I stayed at, the first time that year. I didn't actually get a room there, but I stopped there, and one thing I had done was I was going to show this restaurant that I went to, but of course it was fucking closed down, had plywood all over the windows and shit. It was like figures. So I decided to just park it there, let it run, with the AC on, and just try to get a couple hours of sleep just in the park. And this is like abandoned there, right? Well, I fell asleep, but I remember waking up feeling really fucking weird. And actually had to get out of the thing and stand there for a bit to kind of like come back to. And it was like basically I was getting carbon monoxide poisoning already and didn't even know it, right? Because you can mistake that for a panic attack, anxiety, or just a lot of shit, right? But this little thing, $25, Also, like I got that battery in the back. Now I haven't charged it, like actually tried hooking it up to like charge, like inverter to cigarette lighter to the battery. Actually, I thought I already had that 2-amp charger I had bought out here, but apparently not. I don't know what the fuck, I don't know where I put it. I have to fucking go looking for it, I guess. But I was going to actually try hooking it up while I was sitting here just to test it, but I kind of can't right now. But anyway, which on a 2 amp charger probably doesn't matter, but of course, I mean, even when it's not being charged, batteries will give off uh, hydrogen sulfide or whatever, which, could blow up, if a spark or something happens. But something I'd heard is that a carbon monoxide detector can actually be used to detect that, like the off-gassing of a battery. I don't know if that's true or not. But I mean, presumably if it were true, it'd be at least showing something other than 0 on this thing right now. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the detector. Who knows? But anyway, that's another thing I think about. I think they make one specifically for that, which, I might get something like that eventually, but if I was going to, like, seriously keep a battery in here long term, especially if I would be charging it, but I don't know. Yeah, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, have a carbon monoxide detector in your car, right? But, yeah, I don't know. Dude, I went... Wait, hold on. What is that? Oh, wow. I went way longer on that than I thought. I was sitting here looking at a thing that said, was it 26? And it's like 56. I was like, damn. All right. Well, anyway, the Schumacher thing, that all-in-one compressor, charger, jumper thing, and then this inverter. I got those on, it was 2017, I believe, and it was at this Sears Auto I used to go to years ago, because I like, I didn't buy them both the same day, but I do know one time I was waiting there and I got this little inverter. But, Scotty Kilmer will say, oh, get a mechanic you can trust, or, find a honest mechanic. It's like, dude, you might not be able to do that, right? Well, that Sears Auto I trusted, and what cemented it for me was one time my power steering went out, and me trying to diagnose it myself, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I guess maybe it's the power steering pump, or the, like, power steering is like, is it a belt? Does it have a power steering belt? Whatever I thought it was, I was going to, like, buy the parts and just, like, actually I called them for that reason. I was like, hey, my power steering's out. If I get the parts, I'll just put them on there. And this is, I was watching some one time and said, don't say that to a mechanic. Oh, here's these parts, put them on, or whatever, right? Well, the thing is, when I figured out this thing had a water pump issue, the place I called, I just told them, I already diagnosed it. And as far as I can tell, it's the water pump. What do y'all charge to put a water pump and a new thermostat in there while you're at it? And they're just like, hey, I mean, if you're sure that's what it is, yeah, we'll do that. But however, back then, in this case, it was different. And when I had called and told them that Sears Auto said, well, why don't you bring it in and just let us look at it first? I was like, all right. And I mean, it was mostly a straight shot. There was a couple turns in there, but I was like, like fucking wrenching the fucking wheel, the steering wheel. It wasn't too bad, but still. But what cemented my trust in them was they looked at it, and what they called me back, and they were like, well, actually what it was is, like, your power steering lines were broken, so we put new ones on, and then replaced the power steering fluid. You're good to go. And it's like something I thought was going to end up being several $100s, ended up doing, I think it was like $50 or something, or like $80 or some bullshit. That's when it's like, they totally could have done this. Oh yeah, and while we were at it, we had to change this, and then they could have made it even worse than I thought. But there's like, no, that thing you thought was like going to be $300 was actually like $50 or like whatever. But of course, find an honest mechanic. It's like, well, but then you do that and then the place shuts down, right? It's like BSM said, and I've had that experience. It's like, if you ever found like a counselor or a therapist or whatever that he actually like really kind of vibed with, they fucking move practices or this, that, like bullshit like that. But so I've had that experience both ways. With the water pump, I explained to them exactly how I diagnosed that, and they were convinced I knew what I was talking about. But in something like that, I wasn't sure to any degree. So when they said, "Oh, they're just bringing it," I was like, "Okay." But so it could go either way on that. I don't know. I didn't really mean for this to be as much about the car as it was. But whatever. I was thinking about that when those assholes were showing up, because I was sitting here fucking with the thing. And it's like, that's when it's like 4 fucking people show up, and then another 2 or 3 came in. It's like, oh, they see me sitting here for an hour and this and that, and the way that I dress, and, oh, you gotta be a homeless guy. Right? Bullshit. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, as I was dealing with the car, just messing with it. But the gym, like I did, like I said, super light tonight, because like all these deloads I've had and this and that, and it's just especially on a 50% day, it's like really light. My knee has been, like, I tried even coming back from the, like, so like all the knee issues I had, I tried to start over again, deloads, and start totally over, and then I got to, literally I progressed fixed bars up to 40 pounds and then went to the Olympic bar. And then, dude, my knee was fucked up for like a week. So I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm just not going to squat at all. Just do everything else and just forget about that for now. Because, I mean, I would have felt stupid micro-loading for 9 months up to a 132.5 pound squat just to pop a quad tendon with less than 1 play. But I feel even stupider popping a quad tendon with 45 fucking pounds or 50 pounds or whatever, right? So whatever, something's not working. So I just need to just say to hell with it and just do what is working. And I've been focusing more on my cardio, the treadmill, just, walking on the treadmill is probably overall, a good thing, a better thing. But I don't know. This new gym I have to go to, because the other one I was going to closed down. Dude, my round trip for one single workout is 7 times further. Round trip, it's 7 times the distance. So that's 7 times the amount of fuel. So what I decided is, fuck this. Especially these stupid assholes are going to be at this one all the fucking time. Right? So I decided I'm going to switch to a 2-day a week. Right? And that might also give my knee a chance to kind of heal up or whatever the fuck. And so instead of doing 100%, 75%, 50% Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's going to be just 100% and 75% Monday, Thursday, right? So a little bit more recovery, and because I'm only doing 2 days a week, I'm not wasting time with 50%, because I always consider those more like active recovery anyway. But then, since I'm only going 2 days a week instead of 3, you multiply it out, instead of, for the total number, for 3 workouts, having 7 times the fuel cost. Well, if I only go 2 days a week, it ends up being like more like just 4 times, right? It's like 7 times 2 over 3, right? So it's still like 4 fucking times more fuel than I was. But it's like, dude, it's like, if I did nothing else but just went to the gym, dude, a month worth of workouts, I might be at a half a tank afterwards. Now, dude, it's like I'm having to fill it up like every fucking week or 2 weeks or whatever, especially if I do anything else. And it's like, that's I can't afford that. I mean, I technically could, but it's like I would like to save money up. I mean, my money's ran low, as Frank James would say. I did the same thing. I've been buying a bunch of shit. Although, in my case, shit that I maybe not need necessarily, but would be good to have. One time I bought a bunch of junk food, but I mean, I haven't even finished it all the way yet. I still got a little bit left. But that was shit's like stretched for like 3 months or whatever. So if you amortize it out, it wasn't that, but it was like $400-$500 worth of junk food. But I very rarely do something like that. But all other things that I've put money into, like, yeah, I think I've only got like a few grand in cash left at this point. So I got it's like 1,000 on my Chime account and a couple hundred on my Amazon. But as far as actual just hard cash right then, I think I only got like 3 or 4. I might have 4 grand now. It's like, I don't know. I got pretty low. For me, that's low. But I don't know. I can't be spending all this money on fuel just to go to the gym for kind of an extraneous workout in the first fucking place. But then on top of that, it's like I'm traveling all this extra distance, all this extra wear and tear on my vehicle on top of the fuel expenditure. And it's like, just to be around a bunch of stupid dick fucks, right? And it's like, dude, fuck off. Could I ever get anything in this motherfucking world? It's like, fuck. And, of course, and, computers always fucking with me. Phone's always fucking with me. And it's like, could I get one single escapism? You know what I mean? But then I have to think about that. Some stupid motherfucker might try to get me kidnapped by the police. Just because, oh my God, this homeless guy. It's like, dude, I'm not homeless. But they'll be convinced that I am. And it reminds me, like I said, dude, when I went to Indianapolis in 2023, I tried to go back there. I tried to get a storage unit to offload some of my shit. Just put in this. I wasn't even going to stay in Indianapolis. I just wanted to offload the shit to reduce my fuel costs because I'm carrying less, right? One of the dipshits that worked there got it in his head that I was homeless, and dude, I'd already signed the contract, and all I had to do was hand him the money, and he just started accusing me of being homeless just so he could like deny me the fucking storage unit. That's probably what led to all the bullshit that happened in Atlanta and getting fucked over for $9 grand on top of a $4,000 car that already had $4,000 put into it. Yeah. So $20,000 fucking car, and honestly, it's not running any better. Yeah. Just buy $1,000 hoopty though, right, Dave Ramsey? Yeah, remember it. Just be clear, Dave Ramsey, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, just buy $1,000 hoopty, right, Dave? Whatever. But a lot of that was probably facilitated by their bitch asses just refusing to give me a storage unit. And the Psychoverse always constructs everything to spit in my face and show me how one-sided life is against me. These child fucking human criminals are against me. The storage place I'm, renting at right now, a storage unit, dude, I've seen like 3 different homeless motherfuckers living there. One time I saw it was an outdoor unit, the door was up, and like as I was driving past, my headlights kind of like filled it up. I could see a dude sitting there. He looked straight at me, right? I've seen motherfuckers, they're so flagrant about it there. They'll have a storage unit. Now it's got 2 vehicle parking spots. Now by the time I realized they had them, the second one had been filled, so I couldn't. That's what I was saying. I wanted to go to that one, but couldn't, right? But I don't need to move it, so it doesn't matter for right now. But they don't even have a vehicle parking spot. They get a storage unit. They just pull their fucking car up in front of the storage unit and just go in the storage unit and close the door and fucking sleep or whatever. Right? So these motherfuckers just want to pretend I'm homeless so I can't give them fucking free money, right? But then the way everyone else is treated, they just live in the fucking storage unit. It's like, it's all designed just to show me how one-sided life is against me with these fucking evil-ass fucking humans. I don't even want to live in a storage unit, right? That's the thing, is like these motherfuckers are actually doing it, and when it's them, it doesn't matter. But I'll get accused of that just so I can't fucking buy one. Or whatever. I just get sick of See, I'm starting to smell that kind of funky smell again. Still says 0 parts per million. Okay, well, maybe it's something else. I don't know. Who knows? Now I'm starting to hear that little sound again. I wonder if those are related. You know, I don't think it's. I thought maybe it was the clutch on the AC compressor, but like if that was fucked up, the AC wouldn't be working. What I'm thinking it might just be is the pulley on it. It's kind of like wobbling. It's just making it squeak or something. I don't know. I mean, the AC itself is fine. It does feel a little bit sometimes, especially during the day when it's hotter out. It's like it doesn't put out quite hot enough, or like if I open these passenger side ones, then it won't feel as hot. It's probably a tiny bit low on refrigerant, but whatever. But I don't know. I don't think it's really something wrong with the compressor. Well, it could be internal, not the clutch, but actually, which, I mean, if it were that, that'd be even worse. But whatever, fucking. I think this is the first car I've ever had that had working AC at all. Well, the last one did, but it only worked for a few months when I first bought it. You know. Yeah, maybe I could have got it recharged or whatever, but I just said fucking whatever. That would have been an extra 100, 200, whatever the fuck dollars that wouldn't be in my fucking pocket, and then they'd fuck it up. And you know what I mean? It's just like whatever. But I think this is the only car. Well, I know this is the only car. Dude, most of the car, like every other car I've had, didn't have air conditioning. And in that '94 Mercury Sable I got, the heat don't even work in it. And the things, it's not losing pull-in or none of that. Now, when I got it in 2019, like I said, when I was living with that fat bitch, it was around the middle of this, it was about like October. I started living with that bitch. This is how I, found Scotty Kilmer originally, because I was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with that thing. It was getting too hot. I remember seeing a video of his about head gasket leaks. Oh, bars leak stopper. Well, I had taken it to a place. That chick actually that I was living with, she actually went with me so she could bring me back when I dropped the car off. And they called me back, and basically there was like, it would be a pretty extensive repair, right? This shit ain't cheap. And so they're like, well, you want us to just try putting leak stopper, like whatever in it. And that's when I was like frantically researching. Oh, I think I'll call you back. And like frantically researching this shit. Right. That's how I found Scotty Kilmer. I'm pretty sure is some head gasket leak video he had in like 2019. But I decided to tell him to do it. And I went back to get it the next day, I think. And that chick took me back over there. That chick I was living with drove me over there to pick it up. And dude, it's ran flawless ever since. So yeah, sometimes, it's like Scotty Kilmer said, and I mean, he's made multiple videos on it, but like one of them, I think he said that, there's motherfuckers have a head gasket leak. That they put that like leak stop shit in it, and dude will drive for 10, 15, 20 fucking years after that. It's like it just fixes it, right? That's basically how that thing is, flawless to this day. So my point is, like, it's not that. It's not like, oh, it's losing coolant so the heater core is empty, or like, you know what I mean, like whatever. It's just, there's probably something else going on, but I whatever. This little window defroster thing I got, that that it's a mid-size sedan, dude, even was like -20 outside or whatever. That thing, if I got in the car, and of course I'd be all super bundled up, if I ran that thing long enough in that thing, it was small enough that it would eventually get real toasty in there. Now, of course, the microsecond you open the door, you open the door for a microsecond, it's an ice box, all of a sudden it'll take a fucking hour to heat back up, right? But still, it would work. So I didn't even really worry about it. But I don't know. Like I said, I've had this piece of shit on the mind. But whatever. I guess it's just low on engine oil. It's like, whatever. Also, I do kind of think it's a burning oil. But it's a 20 fucking year old car, so I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So maybe that's what it is. Alright, it's just low on oil. But I put a couple quarts in it for right now. And other than that, for the time being, I'm basically just, checking the tire pressure. So what I had done was, I mentioned all that earlier. Like, what I did was, I brought I tried looking up the tire pressure for this thing, and it depends on the trim, right? So, like, some versions it says 32, some say 35, some say fucking 38. Like, whatever, just put it 35. That's where 35 is basically what I've always filled my tires to on any car I've had. So whatever, just put it about 35 for now, whatever. So what I did was, last time I had pumped it up, well, that was the thing. So that thing, as I mentioned earlier, it had said 100% the last time I had used it, but then the next time it got low and I tried pumping it, it was like 0. I was like, fuck. That was part of why I wanted to do my setup again, to keep that thing charged if I was driving. But I don't know. Anyway, so I had to like actually just hook it up to wall power and charge it again that time. And so the third time I actually got it up to, and I took it up to 30. So I think I only took it to 32 or something. Or no, actually, I guess I did take it to 35. Either way, what I did was, so then it is basically equal to the rear tire, the other one, because it was like 36 when I had last checked it. But then the ones in the front is like 39 and 41 or some bullshit like that, some crazy shit like that. So I just let air of them down to about the same level. And it was kind of like driving like all over the road. It was like kind of like all over the place driving it. But now that I've fixed that, like equalized the tire pressure, it's driving way better. Especially now that I actually brought it down to mid 30ish like it was. Yeah, so that thing still says it's supposed to alarm if it gets to what was it, like, it's like 800 or something, I think. But I don't know. I still like to check it anyway. But yeah, anyway, once I equalize the tire pressure, it's just, not just equalize the pressure, but specifically brought it down to around 35ish. Now it's getting about the right amount of traction again. But dude, it was like the way I was driving for a bit there before it's like one of these, again, it's obvious shit, but it's like, dude, when I did computer repair, yeah, sometimes I would just forget to try the obvious shit, right? Like, you're used to being like a technician like that. Sometimes you just brain fart, and I just don't know why I never thought to check the engine oil. Don't know why I never thought to check the tire pressure. But I mean, the way that this, like I said, I had that Mercury Sable that had all that, bottom end work I had to get done. It's like the tie rod's totally replaced. I don't think I had to get the struts replaced. It's like the tie rods, inner and outer. And there was like the CV joint. Whatever the fuck. All the bullshit. Right. That's actually something I need to do with this thing. My jacks and jack stands and all that bullshit are in my one of my other 3 vehicles. And I want to put them into this thing, but the problem is the battery in that thing is like truly dead, which, it was the one I was driving in 2023, but that failed. $4,000 turns into 20 type bullshit. Just buy a $20,000 hoopty. But I mean, the battery on that's like 5 years old, so kind of no surprise. It won't hold a charge anymore. And that piece of shit, you know, is a Toyota. So thanks for nothing, Scotty Kilmer. I'm being sort of facetious with that. But what I hate about that piece of shit is that the rear hatch, you cannot just open. Just like the doors, you can just use the key to unlock. You can't do it with the hatch or the sliding doors on the side. It has to actually do that electronically. Well, it won't hold enough of a charge. Like, if I hook up a battery charger to it, it's like basically it's just putting enough of a surface charge on it to actually be able to, you know, unlock the side doors and the trunk. It's just, I don't feel like having to send that the fuck up, right? Or like pulling this in front of it and hooking it up to the battery to like do that. I don't feel like fucking with that. But at some point I'm going to have to do that just to, you know, get my jack stands and all that. But, you know, just speaking of that, that's something I need to do at some point. I need to jack this thing up, both the front and the back, and actually just check the wheels, see if they got any play in them. Just to really kind of verify it's not actually any kind of shit like that, like, you know, tie rods or whatever that I have to worry about on this piece of shit. But the way my Mercury Sable was acting, sorry, Buick LeSabre, I always mix those two. I still have the Mercury Sable, 94 midsize. The Buick LeSabre is silver 2004. It's the full-size sedan. I always make, it's like Sable, LeSabre. I always fuck that up. Plus, whatever. Never mind what I was about. I think what I was about to say. Well, I mean, I'll just say it. Isn't Buick and fucking Mercury? They're like, all these cars are like the fucking same, right? I don't know, or I don't know. It's like they end up being like all the same fucking parent company or some bullshit. Whatever, but the Buick LeSabre 1,500, and then all of a sudden turns into $2,300 of struts and like tie rods and CV joints or like whatever bullshit. The way it when it's like this, like finally lost the tie rods, I guess, or at least one is like just all over the road. To a degree, this is almost how this thing was acting, and at least as far as I can tell now, but I haven't actually checked for that specifically yet. But it was almost driving like that Buick LeSabre had done. Like just off the tire pressures being so wonky. Like all four tires were different, right? And then on top of that, the ones in the front were like ridiculously higher than the back. And this thing is like 4-wheel drive. The problem is it's actually stuck in 2-wheel drive. Again, I don't know. You just need to, like, I guess, check the fuse maybe or whatever. Oh, that was another thing I forgot. I got a thing of fuses I meant to stick back in the back with the. Like, I got those to try to diagnose something else, but I didn't bother. But I don't know. Anyway, if I was lucky, it might just be the fuse or something. But it started doing, like, if I tried setting it to 4-wheel, it just wouldn't. Hopefully it'd be something, you know, simple like that, just like a fuse. And if it was one of those things, like that one thing is something else that's like down there. It's like the control unit or like whatever the fuck. Like supposedly, like if replacing a fuse works, but that's fucked up, chances are every couple times you put it to 4-wheel, it'll blow the fuse again. Okay, well, cool. Then, dude, it's like 100 fuses is like nothing compared to replacing that. The cost, like, dude, I don't, like, I want it to have 4-wheel drive, but I don't need it really. It's like I would very occasionally, if it's going to blow the fuse every couple times, whatever. Like, I'll just replace the fuse then. Again, it's real quick. It's like disabling the heated seats on this thing. Because this thing, like, I can actually feel it. It's not even showing the lights on the side here, but it's like stuck on. Like, I can feel the heat. That's another one. It's like really easy fixes. Like, I just don't feel like it. But I don't know. Hopefully it's something like that, not the fucking transfer case fucked up or whatever. One of the things I didn't like about this though is in my head I thought 4-wheel drive would be front wheel drive when it was in 2-wheel drive mode, but apparently it's not. The way it works is it's rear wheel drive when it's in 2-wheel drive mode, right? Well, I don't want rear wheel drive. I hate that. And the reason I hate it is because it was like a 93, or no, it was like a 96 Ford Ranger. So if you know anything about cars, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you're aware of what an F-150 looks like, make that about like half the size, right? It's like that's a Ford Ranger. Rear wheel drive, like basically all pickup trucks, dude, that thing, if there was the slightest dribble of, like, you could have just sprinkled just a little bit, that thing would fishtail all over the motherfucking place. Well, here's the thing. I was driving that when I worked at FedEx, and it was icing, snow, sleet, fucking shit-ass slushy roads like that, and yeah, I had all these curvy roads to drive to FedEx and back to the fucking hotel I was living in at that point. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had like 3 70-pound sandbags in the back of it, and it's still all over the place. And so that kind of, I think, explains a little bit of what it feels like driving this thing. And it's like, now I finally realized it. Once I was just trying to look up why the 4-wheel wasn't working. And they kept talking about, the transfer case, helps transmit the rear wheel to the front. And it's like, wait, I thought it was supposed to go the other way. But when I heard that, like I said, I didn't know. I'm not a car guy. It's like that one Black Pillar dude, like he was super into car. He's like me. I just want one to go to A to Z, right? And like I know enough to kind of like work on them a little bit, like I said, serpentine belts and this and that bullshit. But this guy, he's like in love with like the idea of cars, right? He's like a car guy. I was never like that. I never really gave a shit, honestly. Those 3 that just came out of here, that just left, dude, one of them, wow. I mean, he's too tall, really, but like blonde hair, twink, built guy. It's like, why are you at the gym, dude? So you already won. Like, you don't. The gym is for fat. Like, the gym is for dudes that are either ugly or fat or both, right? So I'm batting 0. I'm fucked, or maybe not fucked or whatever. But it's like you this is like beyond unnecessary for you, right? But I don't know. There was 2. I thought they were separate, but it's like it was like a man and a woman. It was like, I guess, a couple. But then this other guy, the twink built guy. But all 3 came out and like left in the same car. And now I'm sitting here thinking, okay, there's a couple and a friend. But then I thought it could be like a fucking polyamorous relationship. It's like bisexual motherfuckers. Yeah. Why you're sitting there with nothing. Isn't it funny how life is like that, right? It's no matter what, you were always the kid that was alone while there was a group of 3, right? It's like everybody could have had a partner, right? I just love how life is always like. I mean, that might not have been what it was. I'm just whatever. But like that Black Pillar, he's just like into cars. I've never been like that. So a lot of this stuff, like, to him would be probably laughable that I didn't know that. But it's like, I didn't know that. I assumed that a 4-wheel would be front wheel. So, I mean, that pickup, I don't know. I thought a pickup would be rear wheel if it was only 2-wheel drive, right? But then if it was 4-wheel, then the 2-wheel mode would be front wheel. I don't know. But that's basically, once I noticed that, just trying to diagnose that issue, and they said that in videos about the transfer case, and I was like, that explains it. That's the sort of peculiarity, fuck that word, of driving this thing. It finally clicked. Oh, that's what it's like. It's like it clicked. That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm driving that fucking Ford Ranger I used to have, in a way. Now this thing's got a lot more weight to it, and I mean, I haven't I drove it in on snowy, icy roads. I've driven it when it's raining. Doesn't fishtail at all, but I mean, it's just such a bigger car. Um, I guess that's why. Like it being in rear, rear wheel doesn't matter. But yeah, if it was as simple as a fuse, which actually I could maybe check that right now. Is there fuses on the side here? Just met a spider, bro. Yeah, there's fuses there. I don't feel like checking them right this second though. Maybe some other time. I'd have to get out to really be able to see it. At least some of the spares are still there. But if it was something that I'd have to, it would blow every couple times switching to four wheel. Well, then they'll just blow. I mean, fuses are really fucking cheap. I bought some as part of the diagnosis process of figuring out that it was the water pump gone out. I never used them, but I was going to use them. There was I don't remember exactly what fucking issue it was now. But anyway, like replacing the fuse for the cigarette lighter for whatever reason. I don't know. I ended up never even really bothering. Which the fuse for that didn't even look blown anyway. I didn't take it out or nothing. So whatever. But and actually, it's in a Ziploc bag, but got this little multimeter here I brought out but never used. I could always have checked it with that. But actually, I think that kit of fuses I bought, it comes with a little puller thing, but also a thing to touch it that'll like light up if they're working. Which, again, I just haven't felt like it. But yeah, hopefully it would be that easy. So I would only ever do it if I was trying to get out like mud or if it was like snow and this and that. Because in that case, I'd just leave it in four-wheel drive mode and just, not worry about the extra gas costs. But yeah, I was never into cars. I'll research it. I mean, yeah, I will watch shit just for entertainment, like Scotty Kilmer, this and that. But I like Scotty Kilmer, right? I mean, there's probably a reason he's got like 7 million fucking subscribers, right? But I like his videos. Channels like that, or like normally the super animated shit like that, I hate. But he makes it work, right? It's sort of like how Joshua Weissman, the cooking channel, used to be. I think he went to being more serious videos. He did last I checked. Maybe he's still doing the wonky or like the whatever videos, goofy videos, like cringe humor like that, or like language simp. Like if anyone else had done it, it would have been like actually like truly like cringe, but like not ironically, right? It would just suck. But they pull it off, right? Normally, I'm not into channels like that, or like, oh yeah, like Scotty Kilmer is, but it works for them, right? Other channels I watched, back in 2018, it was after I'd done landscaping and I got this room for rent. It was this older gay dude. No interest between us. It's just he was gay as well. But I'd found he had a room for rent that was like right next to the landscaping job I had. Now they're basically what they had done was fire me, but what they had told me is, oh well, we don't need you right now because the like, rush is over. Because I was working with them in this like March, April kind of time frame, which is when people are wanting their landscaping done because they want to be ready for summer, right? So once it kind of like got into summer, then they're like, oh yeah, we don't need any more, we don't need you for right now because it kind of like rush is over or whatever, but we'll give you a call back when it's like the fall rush or whatever, or like, I don't know, whatever the fuck it was. So I was like, oh, okay. And, I kind of already, spoiler alerted it, but I found that room for rent. Dude, it was like half a mile away. Dude, I could have walked there. I mean, at one point when that Buick LeSabre fucked up, it had all that bottom end shit wrong with it. That's what it was. I was homeless, living in the thing while I was working there and going to the gym. Y'all motherfuckers talk about motherfuckers making excuses and shit till, you see me. But at one point I was driving, like, in the direction of it, and my tire blew. Now, in that case, it was the rear driver's side, rear left. I put the spare on. Dude, like a mile down the road, the fucking spare blew. I'm like, what the fuck, right? So now I can't drive the thing. I pulled into a gas station, literally just left it there, took the shit I needed, and I just walked out to the area where they were at, and basically just waited for morning to just kind of like walk up to the door and like, and just like get in the truck and whatever. And then I had to find a hotel, so I had to walk like 2 miles to it, or 3 miles or whatever, to be there. And then every morning for work, I got to walk 3 fucking miles, partially down the highway to work, just to be able to, push 200-pound barrows of fucking mud and shit uphill all day, right? Yeah, a lot of fun. But, where was I going with that? Oh, right. So, now, of course, so basically, like, I found that room for room with that one dude that was, like, right down the street from him. There's only, we're talking, like, a couple minutes of walking. Not a couple miles, a couple minutes. Of course, they never ended up calling me back. And I ended up leaving that place I was renting because the dude was a stupid asshole. But in the meantime that I was there, kind of, naively expecting to get a call back at some point, but actually they were just lying to me and about having, like, actually what they did essentially was fire me. Pieces of shit. But while I was living with that dude, that room for rent right down the street from him, part of that there was, basically my point is I'm more into like analytical lecture type stuff and shit like that. Well, back then I was trying to learn stuff about cars. And actually I found it recently because I tried finding it a few times recently, but I finally found it again. It's called Weber Auto. 2018, and if you go back, most of his shit, like, he has some recent stuff, but not much. But you go back, 7 years, that's when you'll start that whole, well, not entirely, but mostly. Does this stupid street sweeper motherfucker really got to be driving right? See what I'm talking about? Always some bullshit. Why? What? You're not doing anything useful, you stupid fuck. Fucking retard. But anyway, that Weber Auto, dude, he has whole series just on like specific transmissions and totally taking them apart and putting them back together and explaining everything about it on camera. They're like hour-long fucking videos. It's like, well, here's the planetary gear and this and that, and he's like talking about manual and automatic and then constant variable transmissions and everything. Now, I don't ever exactly have, the desire to tear apart and put back my own transmission, but either way, I don't know. When I'm learning, like, I've learned a lot about cars recently just messing with this thing. But that's what I do. Like, I just jump in the deep end and, basically just, sink till I learn how to swim, It's how it was with computer graphics. Just like computer repair, computer graphics, video editing and compression, and just, everything I'm an expert in. Like, truly an expert in, same idea. For me, mostly, I just never had an interest in vehicles, really. Like, I wasn't like a car guy. Like I said, that black pill dude. My mom was like that. My mother, when I was in middle school, 6th grade, it was 2003. My mother, so I was 12 years old, my mother had a 2004 Mustang, right? And those, at least at the time, were manual transmission. I mean, now even they're probably fucking automatic, but, everybody at school called it the Batman car. Because it's black 2004 Mustang. Because at that exact moment, we were like lower middle class, right? So she could afford to, lease or whatever a fucking Mustang. But yeah, she's like that, right? My mother was like into cars, and so like bullshit. And, again, you would think, it's like Elliot Rodger. Remember, me and Elliot Rodger were both small for our age and bullied. Like, dude, at some point I might put a picture of me of what I looked like around that age. It's like, dude, me and Elliot Rodger looked really similar. We got bullied for the same reasons. We were just like, I was short, fat, and ugly. But that's kind of my point. He thought, oh, why aren't girls attracted to my BMW? You would think your mother, when you're in 6th grade, having a fucking 2004 black 2004 Mustang that every kid at the school called the Batman car, you think that you would have friends, right? It's like, no, right? I don't know. That's kind of an aside, but I've never been into cars. I just, my main thing is I want old shit like this. And I don't know, like Scotty Kilmer mentioned that in the video, and I always like watching his videos for that. Every time he says, when I was a young mechanic, right? It's like, I just, that's always it makes me think it's like, 20-year-old cars I have, that's why I have them. To a degree, you can at least work on them, right? Like that fucking 94 Mercury Sable I got. I said that right? Yeah. Dude, that thing is a 94, but they're like it's like dated a year ahead, right? This is 93, so it's OBD1, right? It doesn't even have you can't even plug a scanner in it. It's like old school motherboards. You just listen, like the flashes, right? It's like that, like old school motherboards. You listen to the beeps and you look, okay, these beeps means this, right? But that thing for a long time before I finally got the starter replaced. If I was ever going to go to the gym, for example, I'd have to jack it up and knock it on the starter a little bit, and then get out and try to, see if it would start, and just back and forth till it would start, and then even do that at the gym, right? Occasionally. Oh, you can do that in an emergency. It's like, yeah, or also you could just kind of do it forever, But yeah, I was doing that shit. These motherfuckers out here with fucking leaf blowers and shit. Fucking weirdos. Whatever. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's like you said, a lot of that shit don't work on new cars. Shit I could do with a 20-year-old car. I couldn't necessarily sit here with the key turned and just let it go woo, 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 right, till now it's working. That's what he mentioned that in one of his videos, and I was like, yep. That's why I like 20-year-old cars. I can't necessarily work on them that well. You hear this stupid motherfucker? Like they can never just. He's not even doing anything. He's just blowing random shit around. See what I mean? You hear that? He's standing right next to me. He's just blowing trash around with a fucking leaf blower. That's so fucking retarded. But yeah, like a lot of that shit might not work, and probably doesn't work on newer cars, right? Like hot swapping the batteries. Any car I've had, yeah, it'll probably idle rough for a while till it kind of like relearns its shit. A lot of shit is just totally, fucking bricked the whole damn car. It's like, dude, I can't deal with that. There's so many situations I've been trapped in where if I had a newer car, I'd be fucked. That actually reminds me of 2019. At one point I was driving through, it was Texarkana. And I knew it was Texarkana because every time I got close to that, it's on Route 66, isn't it? I'd start thinking about that one, God, what's the name of that fucking band? That song was in Hitman Contracts in the Rotterdam level. See this dumb motherfucker blowing shit around like a retard. Fuck, what's the name of that? Anyway, the song is like, I am immortal. And I don't remember the name of the band, but I think it's called Clutch. There you go, Clutch. It's like, I am immortal. Well, it's just immortal, but that's like, I am immortal. But that's part of the lyrics, you know, something, something, Texarkana, or something like that. But so anytime I got near Texarkana, I'd start listening to that damn song. And, well, anyway, one time in 2019, driving, you know, and like there's this gas station in Texarkana I would stop at if I was ever going that way. There was this couple in like a truck. I guess they were broke down, like they couldn't start. Now I had the Schumacher thing, and I tried giving them a jump start, but it didn't work. And I was like, y'all are gonna have to call somebody or something. This thing is not jumping it like I figured it would. I made sure it was charged, but I think their battery was just like totally dead or like whatever. I don't know exactly what, but like I got gas and I tried to help them out. It didn't work, but I basically told them it's like I thought it might work. I figured I'd give it a shot. It didn't. They were like kind of like huddled together in the car, and they had these like worried look on their face. That still kind of haunts me to this day. Just that whole scenario, but also at the same time, it's like, you know, honestly, fuck them, right? Because if it had been me, they probably wouldn't even tried to help. And they also, they wouldn't. I think about that occasionally, you know, for years, you know, since then. You know, if it had been the other way, they wouldn't have even remembered the shit happened, you know. But I don't know. I don't know why I just thought of, you know, Texarkana. But yeah. Newer cars, you know, they're designed to be death traps that like lock you out, or just refuse to start in conditions that otherwise they would have been fine. And motherfuckers probably die all the time for that, you know, getting trapped and whatever, just because the car just won't let them just let it fucking work. You know what I mean? Like this thing's had the check engine light on since I got it. Now the OBD port's not working, which, you know, I've just been too lazy to really look more than just a glance at it. So, you know, I still haven't bothered trying to fix that or figure something else out, but I think it might be the evap, you know, or maybe the catalytic converter sucks ass or something. I don't know. But the thing is, dude, there's a lot of, like, modern, according to Scotty Kilmer, there's a lot of modern cars that wouldn't even start, right? I think that's what he was talking about when he said that. It's like, just won't start, right? Can you imagine that? Like, dude, you don't even need a catalytic converter, and it's like, I don't know. But I mean, there could be like a leak in the gas cap, or, you know, it could be the catalytic. I don't know. Sometimes it is like, I don't know, the smoke comes out of it. I don't know. I mean, it could be that. It could be the catalytic converter. It smells a little bit, but not like. I mean, I know there's no head gasket leak in this thing because I tested it. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's burning some oil, but maybe it's the catalytic converter. So I don't know. But sometimes it'll be kind of fucked up. But yeah, I mean, that's why I like them, right? It's like, conceivably, like the water pump on this thing, I could have realistically done that myself. You know what I mean? I didn't want to. I'd just rather pay somebody. And I mean, paying them to do it didn't cost much more than the fucking parts, right? It was like $485, including the parts, right? Probably a part of that was that they could tell I pretty much already knew what I was talking about. But yeah, that realistically, just from the shit I watch, I probably could have done that. I didn't want to risk it the first time ever trying it, you know, fucking something up. I'd rather just pay somebody. But You know, there's not a lot that I couldn't really figure out myself if I really wanted to. But just cars has just been something I've never been super interested in. But it's always one of those things is something goes wrong and you're not going to have the fucking knowledge right then when you need it, right? But so a lot of shit that I got, but I would watch shit like that Weber Auto. It's just take apart whole damn transmission, put it back together. It's like I've heard shit like that. You hear words like that, little planetary gears and fucking whatever bullshit. There's not a whole lot of practical use for that, but the point is, I just with what I've kind of learned recently with cars, just trying to figure out this damn thing. I don't just right, what's the answer to whatever is wrong with this thing? I just get inundated, right? That's just how I learn, right? With computer graphics, 2005, I think I was 14. That's 13. Yeah, it was 2004 for Doom 3. I was so obsessed with that. The idea of there was this dude pulling up right next to me, but I had to, I was super obsessed with Doom 3, and when it came out, I just started researching all about computer graphics, and I was going and listening to all of John Carmack's keynotes, right? The big ones for me were the 02, 03, and 04 ones. And I'm hearing all this shit, about, renormalizing normal vectors and, fucking, just what it was Phong exponents and bullshit. And then I have no clue what the fuck any of it means, right? But it just sounded cool, and you just swamp yourself, and now I'm reading sick graph papers and bullshit. And it's to a point now I know the shit, right? I always sucked at math in school, but when I say sucked, what I meant is I would be all A honor roll, but math would be the almost if my A in math were any lower, it'd be a B, right? So I would, but I was true A honor roll, but and once school started to fuck with me, and your grades go to shit because you just stop caring because you're getting fucked with by the other kids, math was the first to go, right? Well, it's because the way they teach in this school sucks. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Finally, these stupid fucks are leaving. But the way that they explain it is retarded, right? If somebody had told me that integrals are just adding little pieces together, it would have made sense instantly, right? Or I don't know, whatever. I need to try to wrap this up soon, or I'm going to anyway. But so I took a college placement test one time, and even the instructor said, that it was or was it, I think it was a man, and they said, you did better in algebra than arithmetic, right? And it's well, I mean, my short-term memory's fucked. Anybody who's ever listened to a single one of my videos will know that, because 10 times I'll be wait, what the fuck was I just talking about? But it's also, I don't know, I think in terms of letters, I guess more like language. You're just dead set on just driving back and forth for no fucking reason, ain't they? Fucking shit dicks. But with the computer shit, it's the same thing. Or not the computer shit, the car shit. What's up?
I was just saying, bro, you homeless?
What?
Homeless?
No, dude, I'm sitting here till I go back home.
Huh?
I said I'm sitting here till I go back home. I was actually recording. I was just saying that part of the reason a lot of times people see how I'm dressed or that I'm sitting here after I work out, that they think I'm homeless.
I'm not judging you. I don't give a shit. I just do God's work. I was gonna throw you a couple. I thought you was fucked up. But
no, I'm good on money. I got a place to live. I just
God
All
bless.
right. Well, God bless you too. See, that's what I was talking about. Actually, dude, I love that just happened. Just to prove my point. But also, you notice, I wasn't like nasty about it, right? Did I sound like I was just, I mean, I could have turned that into something, right? I don't do that. Um, but, you know, you see, it's like, oh, this, that. Um, that reminds me, again, St. Louis, the first time. And, you know, when I went back there in 2023, um, I actually made a video of it. I just didn't put it up. And also, the audio kind of sucked. Um, See, now that the dude talked to me, now I'm all fucking distracted. See what I mean? Hello, short term memory. But what was I going to say? See, now I'm fucked up. Well, okay, yeah, that's so I made a video in 2023, but the audio was fucked up. It was all windy. But I showed where I was. So like, I'd pulled in one night after I went to the gym and came back to the hotel. And there was somebody at the other end of the parking lot, and what I liked was that night I finally got that good spot that was like basically closest to where the elevator was, or like the staircase. Now when I went back in 2023, it was a like a handicap spot, but it wasn't in 2019. So um, one night I got back to it from the gym, and it was free. Normally it wasn't. I just pulled in. I was driving normally. There was a dude at the other end of the parking lot, like driving, and he was so far away. Like I actually thought he was leaving. He was nowhere close to me. But when I pulled in that spot, I got out, and he got out of his car. He was like, "Hey man, hey man," and I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "You need to be careful where you're driving. You could hurt somebody, or hit somebody, like some bullshit like that." And as soon as he started talking like that, I just switched to ignore you mode, right? And so I finished getting my shit out of the car, and I was just standing in front of the elevator. I was on the second floor, but I just didn't feel like taking the staircase, steps that was right next to it. So I was just lazy. And I'm sitting there waiting for the the elevator after he's like said that or whatever. And then I see somebody out of the corner of my eye. So all I did was turn around and looked and saw, oh, it's that guy, all right. Like you see somebody move, like something in your peripheral vision, and you like just turn to look at it, right? Well, again, just because of how my face looks, I guess this guy thought I was mean mugging him. So basically what it really was, I figured it out. Like, he was just mad I got that spot before him. Dude was at the other fucking side of the parking lot. He was trying to, like, act like I, almost hit him or something, right? So I switched to ignore him mode, right? But I'm just sitting there, and I just looked to the side and saw it was him walking that way. It's like, all right. It's just something in your peripheral vision will just grab your attention, right? But I seen it's like, okay. So I go back to staring at the little button, to wait for it to like ding and like turn red to like, okay, the door is about to open. This guy, as he's walking past me, behind me, he like brushes like against me. He doesn't shoulder check me, but he like makes it a point for his shoulder to rub against my back. And he like leans in, he's like, I ain't afraid of you. And he keeps walking. And I'm like, what's that about? Right? But, of course, then it clicked. He's just, he was throwing a temper tantrum because he wanted that spot, but I got it first, right? I thought he was leaving at first. I guess he had just got there too or whatever, right? So he was mad and, trying to act hard or whatever about it. But I guess he thought I was like mean mugging him. It's like, dude, my face just looks like this. I literally looked in his direction long enough to just see what it was in the corner of my eye, and then look back. And he did that bullshit. But that was my point, that guy that just said that, I wasn't nasty with him or anything. And oh, fuck off. It's like, no, I'm good. Right? I'm not interested in making shit out of something unnecessarily like that. Well, that was the case there. That was my point of thinking of that. That dude, he like I don't know, this is that whatever bullshit he was fucking doing there. Whatever, he just kept walking. Hey, if I was like humans, I could have done that. He said, "Oh, I ain't afraid of you," and then I could have said some shit like that. I was like, "Yeah, that's why you keeping walking, right?" Or that's why you're like, it's almost just something like bullshit like that, right? I mean, I had my 1911 on me. Like, if I was like one of these psychotic humans, like that slick guy in a Bronx Tale, and he just wants to shoot somebody, right? If I was like a human, I could have turned that into, some bullshit, fake excuse to shoot somebody. I could have just goaded this guy into trying to like hit me or something and just pull the gun out, right? So I didn't do that. Well, the same thing with that guy. But I love that. That's like perfectly wraps this video. I'm probably going to end it there. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Dude, I promise you I got more money than this guy. Even though I'm, by my standards, bare bones right now, maybe $4,000 in savings. You know what I mean? Oh, I hope you need a couple bucks. It's like, dude, homeless motherfuckers don't need a couple bucks. They need a place to live. All right? It's called homeless, not moneyless. Dude, every time I have been homeless, I've been loaded down. When I was homeless in California, starting, like, I landed at LAX November 13th, 2015. The exact same day they shut down flights from Paris due to the Paris bombings. Because I was hearing that shit on the radio in the taxi as he was taking me into the Anaheim area, and I got a Ramada Inn for the night or 2 nights, right across from Disneyland or Disney World or whichever fucking one it. I never remember which. Dude, I had that whole time I was in California. Well, when I started there, it was the first time. It wasn't the first time I'd been homeless. It was the first time I'd been. Well, it was the first time I'd been to California at all, but also the first time I had been homeless in California. Dude, I had $16,000 in cash in my fucking pocket. All right. Homeless motherfuckers don't need money. All right. They need a place to live. It's called homelessness, not moneylessness. Dude, I've been homeless, sleeping in my car, working 2 jobs, right? 1 single job, like FedEx, dude. I was working like 80 plus hours a week. I was getting overtime and then fucking holiday pay and all. Dude, I was, like I said, I was, able to afford living in a hotel off that. Because, like, once the taxes came off, after I'd been there long, it was like $12.50, or no, it was like $11.25 or something. Well, dude, I was, like I said, I was actually saving up money at that point, right? But we'll put a period on that, and I'll make another video at some point. I really should have left, by now anyway. I should have. I don't know. I had a video like this in me, but I'd love that fucking prove my point. But at least it ended innocuously like that. I'm at least glad of that. Now when I'm thinking about motherfuckers are going to like be calling the gym, oh, this homeless guy. It's like, dude, I'm not homeless. What am I supposed to? How do you prove otherwise? What do you say to that? Nuh-uh. You know what I mean? Now I got to think about that on top of it. So okay, that ended innocuously, right? They didn't fucking call the cops or whatever fucking bullshit. Their little weaponized child molester death squads. But then I got to think that could be a potential. I don't know. Now I'm sitting there thinking maybe I should call the gym and say something about it for motherfuckers to start doing that. It's like, dude, normally I like to, like I said, I get amped up for the gym, caffeinated, and after my workout, sometimes I'll sit here and I'm actually recording a video, and I'll like put up for people that, subscribe to me to listen to. I'm not homeless. I'm not sleeping in the gym parking lot. When I have been homeless, you never know it, right? But yeah, occasionally I've had shit like, and that's what I told the guy, right? So, I was just saying that in the video. People see how I'm dressed, or like, I'm sitting outside the gym after a workout, and they think I'm homeless or whatever. But it's like, dude, I'm not homeless, right? Not right now. I'm not. In a way, well, in a sort of like metaphorical way, because it's not a home. It's a like a living situation, right, or whatever. It's like having a place to stay isn't the same thing as having a home, but whatever. That's more philosophical, whatever. But yeah, I just put a period on that. I love that guy proved my fucking point on that. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say on that. Suck on my fucking man titties, bitch. Especially if you're an emo, goth, femboy, twink, and you like Polish grindcore. I don't know, whatever, gay shit, whatever. Fuck you.